Today's show is brought to you by ExpressVPN, one-click protection for all your devices. Securing yourself couldn't be easier, so just visit expressvpn.com/funhaus.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Funhaus, the podcast where we talk about movie news, do movie reviews, and for the last year or so, kind of come up with new fun ideas are related to movies to actually do here, because there is no movie news and there are no new movies. So either way, I think we have a really awesome, fun thing for you guys to watch and listen to today. But without any further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest this week. Of course, the magnanimous Elise Willems.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Sorry, I meant to say magma maninous.
Yeah, I was so taken aback. I didn't know how to react. Thank you for having me.
No, of course. And then we also have two special guests. Unstoppable Andy Cortez.
Okay, I was wondering what's the adjective here. I was hoping illustrious.
Yeah, what's the superlative?
Illustrious is good too.
Okay.
Yeah. And last but not least, the birthday boy himself, Nick Scarpino.
I thought you were going to give me illustrious just to give Andy.
Oh, look at that happy birthday graphic. Oh my gosh, it's great.
Blow out the candles, Nick. Blow out the candles. There were candles on the candle. Yeah, no, they're gone.
Nice.
They're gone.
There they go. Very nice.
There you go. Good job.
We're recording this on January 13th, 2021. And so that is Nick's birthday. And happy birthday to Nick.
Put that in my calendar. I do this thing now. Whenever it's somebody's birthday, I put a recurring year event in my calendar for it. So the next year comes around and I'm ready.
So do I. I do the same thing, Lisa. I won't remember this time, but I will probably maybe 2023, Nick. By that point, we might get
totally acceptable because I still rely on the old school group texts to remember when it's people's birthdays. So if I don't get group texts for other people's, I just don't remember at all. I'm
right.
that guy.
Your mom texts you, it's your uncle's birthday, mijo.
And you're like, hey, Uncle Vince, happy birthday. I'm totally that guy that will text you 5 days after your birthday and go, happy birthday, question mark? And the question mark means, I'm sorry, I forgot your birthday.
My bad. Yeah,
my
That
bad.
counts.
That's
Well,
fair.
I absolutely didn't forget your birthday, Nick, which is one of the reasons I wanted to have you on.
Perfectly planned.
Yeah, I buy that.
I'll just say this. I'm comfortable to say this. I love you guys. I love doing things with you guys. We've been on your show a couple times, and I think this is a fantastic opportunity because the game that we're going to be playing in this episode, I think, is a perfect match of all of our skills. And I think we're really going to enjoy it. It is film related, so don't run away. And it isn't a bracket. We're doing something different. This is an idea that actually Elise came up with kind of over the summer.
Surprise.
Oh,
everybody gets one.
As all the movies were kind of getting delayed, Elise came up with this really great idea, which was essentially, what if we watched the trailer for some of these movies that are getting pushed by a year or a year and a half and just came up with what the movie is ourselves.
Okay.
So we watch the trailer and then we fill in all the plot points. We come up with the movie. It's as good as going to the theaters.
Taking in context clues from the trailer, maybe there are certain beats that we're seeing in the trailers.
Most likely we add in actors that aren't even in the trailer.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm going to say this. I'm willing to bet for the vast majority of the movies we're about to watch, this is going to be more fun than actually sitting in the theater watching these movies.
I guarantee it.
Maybe.
Guarantee it.
But it's also time. It's a real time saver, because if you think this podcast is only about an hour long, and even if you see one of these movies, you're going to be burning 90 minutes or more.
What's funny is you keep saying it's going to be an hour long, but you'll remember the last time we did one of these, it was a 3-hour extravaganza that we had to cut down into about an hour and a half.
That's true. Well, I'm going to have to wrangle this one because I have appointments today.
Worth every minute.
So here are some of the things that, let's just jump right into it. Here are some of the movies that I have pulled as potentials. We can basically do a deep dive on one of these, or we can just start knocking them out. We can approach this however we want to. I have Top Gun Maverick, A Quiet Place Part 2, Spiral, Jungle Cruise, and Minions: The Rise of Gru. So these are kind of the trailers that we have pulled. These are all
That's the Scorsese one entry.
Yeah. These are some of the movies that have been delayed, knocked back into who knows when. We were so close, and now they've been ripped away. I think Jungle Cruise was supposed to come out last summer, and now I think it's coming out this summer.
Now I'm going, which birthday of Nick's is it going to be?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Check the
Will
calendar.
Nick survive to see the release of Jungle Cruise? How
I
do we
know. It's something to look forward to. You know how like when old people are about to die, so they get them a dog?
Yeah.
That's what this is.
You're getting a new Rock movie. Here you go, Nick. You're getting a new Rock movie.
Question for you, Nick. Have you gotten notifications? Are you getting the vaccine soon? Has it come to you yet?
Yeah, you can.
Because now I'm AARP.
Did you just cross
Well,
over?
you have
into
been.
No, I think I could just walk into a Walgreens and start screaming, and they'll just start hitting me with the vaccination.
That's what Bruce Willis did. It's sad. I don't know what it says about my priorities that I think a lot about how there will come a time in my life when I'm on my deathbed and I'll be like, I'm not going to be able to see Eternals 4. Because like that's what I think about, not like my loved ones I'm leaving behind, but there will be a movie I'm anticipating that's coming out that I'm not going to get to see.
Jungle Cruise 9, you know.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Jungle Cruise 9. You know he's going to keep breaking. He made, God bless The Rock. I saw the trailer for the new one he's in, the Red, so whatever it is, Red Zone.
The
Red
Netflix
something.
one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't even seen that.
It is just like every movie he makes. God bless him.
But this
you
time-
could probably, what's that, man?
I was gonna say, but this time he's got Ryan Reynolds, and we
Yeah.
we
God.
saw a bit of that sort of back and forth in Hobbs and Shaw, right? We saw we saw Ryan Reynolds make that weird ass cameo. We're like, what's this for? Is he gonna be in the future of the Fast movies? No, it turns out it seems like it's just this Netflix thing, and of course, there's a shot of The Rock running across a bridge, and the bridge is exploding.
Of course.
Spoilers.
And he's in like.
Is he
an
wearing
online-
a grayish t-shirt?
He
Some
is
some
How'd you
combination
know?
of gray
How'd
or
you know?
beige?
Yes.
Have you
Is it a
watched it?
Henley?
I haven't. I just read that Ryan Reynolds was in it, and I was surprised because it almost feels like he's taking a back seat to The Rock in this one.
He kind of looks like he is, right? Which is weird because hitting off that note that Andy just said for Hobbs and Shaw, he had that lovely kind of, I'll call it a cameo role because he wasn't in a ton of it. And you were like, oh, that's cool. They peppered Ryan Reynolds in there for a little bit more comedy. But in this one, it is him sort of taking a step to the left and being like, hey, if this is where my career is going, let's go with it because, The Rock's got some pretty mighty coattails. Let's ride these bad boys.
It's awesome.
I was gonna say though, everyone kind of has to take a back seat to The Rock. Like I don't think because first of all, number one, he's massive. You might not fit in the passenger seat.
Big.
Right.
Number two, he probably bought you this truck because that's what he does. He buys people trucks. So I just think there's really no option. You don't really have much of a say when you're sharing a ride. With
Can
The
you
Rock,
imagine being the person that gets in the back seat behind The Rock, like in an actuality, like in an actual vehicle where he has to move the seat back really, really, really far, and the head, like there's probably no headrest because his skull is like poking out the
Wasn't-
sunroof or whatever.
Top of the sunroof.
Wasn't
Yeah.
there like a custom car made for The Rock, but then he couldn't get into it? Wasn't that a story that there was?
Really?
No,
Yeah.
the story that I remember recently, like at COVID times, was that they lost power at his house in like the woods of New York, wherever he lives in, and he couldn't get out of his gate, so he just ripped it apart. Like that.
Right.
And he pulled up to the gate and just grabbed it and ripped it off, and then drove his car to go.
I remember that.
Well, Elise is right though too. There's a news story from
It was for a movie, right?
November of last year that says The Rock realizes he can't fit in a Porsche Taycan while on movie set, and it's a picture of him just going.
And I think they went to
So
all these
funny.
extreme measures to get the car there for the scene. It was a whole thing, and then they couldn't get him in it.
I'd like
Oh,
to
it's the Red
imagine that.
Notice movie.
What's up? What's up?
It's the Red Notice movie.
Oh,
it's the movie
gotcha.
we're talking about.
Yeah.
He couldn't fit in the car.
I'd like to imagine that The Rock has a sort of a procedure for, he's going to work out for a movie, and then he also needs to like fast and not work out for getting into a car. Like there's two processes for both of those things, right? It's like a lot of bumping and then a lot of just dieting to get into the Porsche in the future.
Listen, Andy, you just don't understand how hard it is not to be able to fit into your Porsche. It's a difficult world out there.
Really, huh?
If I had $1 for every time I couldn't fit in a $110,000 automobile, I would have no money.
You could buy a
Zero money.
Had me going in the first half,
I don't think I've ever been in a Porsche.
You want to talk about being able to fit in that back seat with that rock? I'm your man. I have small legs. I can get back there really.
Hell
easy.
yeah, you can.
Well, okay, we've delayed for long enough. We gotta jump into this. Does everyone have their pen in their pad?
I do.
I think Nick and Elise. Dude, Andy,
Well,
do you
I
also
wanted
have a
to,
pen in a
you know
pad?
what I
When do
wanted
you
to
guys
do,
have
because I
this?
think we might be going back and forth with some of the story beats on these as we're breaking
So you're
them.
gonna try
and I was kind of try to keep organization of where we're going with these plot
I like
points,
this,
so we
yeah.
can
Well,
So
we can
the
recap.
first thing we need to decide is what movie here on this list do we want to try and plot out?
I'm not caught up on the Minion verse, though that could be funny if we're trying to make a Minions movie and don't have any.
Well, and keep in
Background.
mind this is a prequel. It's
Oh.
technically a sequel to Minions and a prequel to Despicable Me 1.
But any good prequel is informed by the movies that came before it, and I just don't have that background.
I hear they're using that face like de-aging technology for Gru.
Yeah.
Really?
It's gonna look
Are
really
they?
good. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. First Patrick
Terrible
Stewart.
joke.
Now
Don't
Gru-
let me. Don't
That
let
was a
me
very
get away
good
with
joke. That was a very good joke.
It was a great joke.
Don't let me
It
get
was
away
so
with
good that I wanted to pile onto it. And I said, no, let it sit alone. It's fine.
Me too. I was trying to think like, what would he say instead of girls? He'd
The
say,
Minion, that movie series is one of those series where I'm like, this doesn't have the right to be good, and it's still good, and it's still enjoyable for some reason.
Is it?
I
though?
like the first one. I don't know why. I don't know why he chose to do that voice, but it kind of gets me every time I watch it.
Here's the question: do we want to do Minions Rise
No.
of
I
Gru?
say-
Do we want to
I
do
want-
it?
I don't.
I'm curious just because, like, is Steve Carell back? I don't know, right? Like,
No, they got Ryan Reynolds this time for that.
Damn it.
They couldn't afford
He's
Steve
stealing
Carell.
oh
everything.
yeah, is it like casting a young Buzz Lightyear? They got Chris Evans.
yeah.
You know,
That's even better. We can briefly watch the trailer for this and just try and fill those details in. I'm kind of feeling Jungle Cruise though, because I feel like we already have a blueprint for every rock movie ever made because they're all exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like when
So-
they go into the writing room, Nick, they have like 3 templates, and they're like, all right, which one are we going with?
Yeah, it's Skyscraper, which everyone's like, no, we're
Yeah.
not using that one anymore. We're not
Yeah,
using
they
that
like
template
they do
anymore.
draws. They do the drawing of
Well-
the straws. Like, all right, pick a straw. Tell me which one you want.
A rock movie is like, I don't know if you guys are as big a fan of Medieval Times as I am, but Medieval Times basically they divide their performances into 3 blocks, and they have like
you're really
6
fan.
beginnings, 6 middles, and 6 ends, so they can swap them for infinite combinations of Medieval Times
the
performances.
procedural game development sort of thing.
And so that's what I think rock movies are. I think they just they're like, he's instead of veteran, journalist, and they just slide these
They just
things
do
in.
Mad
So
Libs with The Rock.
I'm going to suggest this. Let's warm up with Minions Rise of Gru. We spend no more than like 10, 15 minutes tops on it. And then we do maybe a deep dive into something else. I would say maybe 5 minutes.
Set
Let's
the
do 5
timer.
minutes
Set the
on this.
timer. Right.
I don't think we have a timer.
Set
but
it.
Give me
Cody,
the
set the
candles one
timer.
more time. as
All
a
right.
timer.
I'll be
Cody,
counting
can-
the whole time.
Yeah, Cody, can you roll the Minions
1,
Rise of Gru, and we can talk
2,
over this. Let's
3.
okay, all right.
let's see what story elements we're getting from this trailer.
Young.
So we
Young
have
Gru.
Gru. He is
DJ.
doing a record backwards.
Loves
with his
music.
Secret
He's
stuff.
got
He loves
hair.
music.
Hair's back.
Okay, so it looks like in this situation, maybe he stumbled upon an evil lair.
Is he an intern there or something?
Yeah, I think he's trying to get a job as an evil.
He's very
thief.
young.
That guy's got a BDSM mask on.
And that guy's reading Mad Magazine, and 4 people will understand the reference when they watch this movie.
I get it. I'm old. Is it Nixon?
Okay, and
That's
also remember
funny.
this is a time period. This is a period piece
That's right.
too. 'Cause
We've got the
how old would
suspicious
Gru
6
be?
here. This is some kind of evil council.
He's pleading his case.
Also,
So-
it is Steve Carell then. A little pitched up, I guess.
Well, no one else can do this. When you've got the best, you want to make no compromise. This is going to be tough because it looks like this trailer is just a scene played out
Yeah.
in its entirety.
We have villains drawn from every corner of the world, every walk of life.
Yep.
Oh,
But then it still shows his ingenuity.
we get Beastie Boys.
Okay, we've got
I mean,
so the minions already exist as a boy.
So I'll provide some context here. The minions are a race of things that often find themselves working as servants for big bad things that exist in the world. So, for example, some of the earliest prehistoric minions worked in like alongside T-Rexes. That's not a joke. That's actually from the Minions movie.
I thought you were making that up. I was like, wow, he's doing really well.
Yeah.
But then obviously, as the T-Rex is like went extinct, they would find other things. I think like the abominable snowman or whatever.
I think you said Obama. I think you said Obama.
The plot of the first movie is 3 minions set out for their tribe to help find what like some sort of thing, and they end up going to like a villain festival. So villains and heroes already exist in this world. They go to a villain festival.
Oh, it's like a convention, like a PAX.
A convention, and there's an even younger group present in that sequence of events.
Gotcha.
But yeah, and then in the end, they kind of just like, I guess they find Gru. I don't even remember how that movie ended.
It is kind of weird though that Despicable Me, or is that the first one? Is that the first movie? The name of the first
I
movie?
believe so.
That it became really, really popular, and I guess like kind of one of the main characters is this old ugly man.
An old ugly man, yeah, but he has a heart of gold. He just doesn't know it, right?
I guess they had the little kids in there as well.
Yeah, they had the little kids that were cute in it, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why I actually like vibe with that movie, because I think they got that dynamic fairly well. And of course, Minions are just silly and
also it's good old man propaganda.
Well, you know, for my old aging eyes, it's just a lot of like colorful things happening on screen, and there's some sounds.
Keeps you stimulated a bit.
You picked up on the psychedelic part of it because this does take place in the 70s.
Yeah.
Now, I just watched a documentary about the guys that developed LSD for the first time, so I don't think that's going to play into it, because a lot of those guys went to jail, but it might.
How do you spell GRU? GRU?
Yeah.
We're in trouble.
They spell minion. So obviously the plot of this movie revolves around him trying to get approval by this like super council of super thieves and super villains or whatever.
The Vicious Six.
Yeah.
Right. And the way he's going to do that, of course, is by stealing something from them to prove that he is good enough to be in the group. Now, whether the question is, does he end up in the group or not, or does he realize that you don't need acceptance from other people?
Well,
And
it's clear that the Minions, it's not, a cult of personality or intimidation with which they are drawn to him. They truly love him because he it seems that they have a different relationship with him than they would with any other villain.
Now, this is GRU.
no, that's a minion.
Okay.
What we're looking at here is a minion. You can tell because it's bright yellow and it's wearing overalls.
And the Minions have braces because they're younger.
Facial features whatsoever.
Can I point something out real quick about this minion that we're looking at?
Of course you can, James.
Without
Go
getting
ahead.
too
Please.
distracted. It has a fly. Its overalls have a fly,
wow.
which would seem to imply that minions have genitalia
Pee-pee.
that they need to access quickly to go to the bathroom. That's
Do you think it's just like a single unit of genital, like a hole?
Yeah, I think it's like
comes
an
out of
indecipherable thing.
just the
like,
thing.
Yeah.
It's like a one by one piece of Lego.
Where do they?
Anyway,
Obviously, this one has an orthodontist, the one that we were just looking at. And I don't think all of them do that. So, like, I don't know. There's so much mystery surrounding the world of the Minion. I don't know where they get the goggles from. Right? Do they have a supply store? Are they given to them at birth? Is that not even part?
So,
like we talk about Toad, right? In Mario, is that a hat? Part of his body? We don't like. I'm getting the same vibe here. Is that? Oh, there's even goggles. What about the overalls? Where are they getting this clothing from?
Here's what I'm thinking. We know the origins of the Urukai. They're bred and born in the fires of Isengard. I think
how are you going to tie Lord of the Rings in with me?
No, keep going. She's making a point.
I think the Minions, obviously they're bred for minionhood. I think then once the Minions become sentient, they take on different jobs in the Minion ecosystem. So we've got the orthodontist Minion that is doing the dental work for the other Minion. We've got the tailor Minion that's making these overalls.
It's like Star Trek. Like there's no capitalism. It's all everybody's working together. It's a big
complete
society.
I was thinking it's like Gremlins or Gremlins 2 more specifically. You get they take on certain roles.
Personas, yeah.
may be a vegetable.
I don't know why. I'm
Okay.
just imagining that one minion with the braces that we just looked at to have the white hand of Sauron on it. I don't know why. I just picture like
on
the
the
white.
forehead.
Yeah.
I do think Nick was on.
We got to plot this movie out.
I
We
think
gotta
Nick was
plot
on
this movie.
something. Just getting to the end, I think that the message is going to be that Gru doesn't need to appeal to someone else to validate himself.
Yep.
That he can find that strength within himself, and he should look to the people that do really support him and not try to impress the people that aren't willing to lift him up. So the minions in this case, they truly love Gru. They're there for him, not this vicious six.
It's your classic heroes. I think we're going to see
a
your
hero's
classic
journey.
hero's journey, which is, it's going to start with Gru having all the minions. Everything they're with him, they're on his side, they're helping him, but he doesn't realize that that's all he needs to be as a good villain is the support of his friends. So he seeks out that kind of
That approval.
that approval exactly from the vicious six. Okay, they don't give it to him. He's just a kid, and they don't respect him.
Just a
Okay,
kid.
they're all big, burly, scary villains, and so through happenstance, he thinks that the best way he can get their approval is by stealing something of value to them, and so then it's probably a chase movie, very similar, where they're on the run,
Gotcha.
maybe for
Okay.
a good portion of the film. And then at a certain point, he'll lose the thing that he thinks matters, but it turns out it didn't matter at all
He had
because
it
he
in
has
here.
the minions.
Nick,
and probably
Nick looked like he was going to say something there for a minute.
okay. go
No,
ahead, Nick.
I'm following all this. I love it. Is there a B plot in this at all? Do we feel like there's an or is this the B plot and there's an overarching A plot where
Yeah, there's a lost child
there's
somewhere.
this
There's
MacGuffin is going to blow up the city or something like that, and if he doesn't get
yeah.
it back, like he has to make that choice: do I blow up the city and let everyone die, including my minions, or
Yeah.
do I give it back and realize that I've had the special thing inside me the entire
I
time?
think he will hit a crossroads. I think Gru will hit a crossroads where you have to pose the question to yourself: do I actually care about these people in the city? Right? Because you got to assume at one point he's going to say, oh, "What do I care about them? They never cared about me or whatever."
Right.
And then the minions then support him, and I'm thinking maybe Werner Herzog voices one of the minions, and it's not how the minion actually talks, but it's in real life, it just sounds like, or however they
Sounds
sound.
like
right?
weird French gibberish.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like an Animal Crossing character when they talk. But then to Gru, it sounds like that. Now, I do want to point out on my notes, I've written down minions grew.
Oh, okay.
That's all.
Okay.
That's all I've managed to write down so far.
Poignant.
Do we think I want to wrap this up because I want to move on to some other movies, but do we think that at some point in this film, one of the minions will be blown up to the size of a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and it'll stomp through the city going like "Schloble, globle," or whatever,
I hope
real
so.
slow.
If that's the case, I will
Guaranteed.
definitely see this.
I think, James, I love that. I think we keep that as a feature for every other movie we do from here on out, where it's
Okay,
what movie are
got
they
it.
going to parody, right? What movie they're going to parody, and how's it going to be parodied? Because
great.
I've seen some of the other movie selections on here, and I feel like, what 80s movie are they going to pull reference from, right? I love the
Perfect.
Ghostbusters reference. Will there be a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids thing, which also references the Ghostbusters? I'm excited for this.
To that point, Andy, we also need to remember that this movie takes place in the 1970s. There are going to be parents taking their kids to see this. The references are going to be at a fever pitch here. We already saw the pet rock in the trailer. Okay. Is Gru going to get pardoned by Nixon at some point?
it.
that would
Yeah.
be amazing. That would be amazing.
What are those references going to be that parents are going to walk away and say there was something in that movie for me too?
Parents by the way, the parents who grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Jenny on cocaine, almost jumping off the building in Forrest Gump, where
Yeah,
she's almost
yeah.
going to take her own life.
Will there be a
do
minion
we
on
think
I
cocaine?
don't think
Fleetwood
they're going to
Mac
go to that level. Andy.
will appear in this song?
They might dial back the cocaine usage in Minions
it.
a little bit, probably. That would be my guess. But I do feel like there will be some sort of dance number with the Minions, and I'm guaranteeing that Pharrell will do the music for it, or Justin Timberlake.
Okay.
Fortnite
All right.
dances,
Well,
too.
he's a Trolls man. I don't want to cut you off at the knees.
I think
but
it's gonna
he's-
be ABBA.
He's pretty embedded in the
No,
Trolls
you slice
universe.
him up. Slice him the fuck up, James.
Okay, so I that's my only concern there. But
Cool.
I
Well,
could see a Pharrell Fleetwood Mac cover.
that's
I would actually love that. That would be
Okay, yeah.
amazing. That would be awesome.
All right. Okay. So that's Minions: The Rise of Gru. That was great. And this was just a glancing pass. So I want to
That
ask
was
you
just
guys
5
what
minutes.
movie. That was nothing.
Yeah, about 5 minutes.
What movie do we want to do next?
So my vote is for either Jungle Cruise or Top Gun Maverick.
Same.
Okay.
Okay. And for two different reasons. One, because I want to just make fun of Jungle Cruise, because I'm sure it'll be just a standard rock fare. And two, because I actually want to see if people have any insight into what Top Gun Maverick might be about, because I'm very curious about that movie.
Yeah, especially because Top Gun Maverick is mostly just shots of Tom Cruise actually flying like an F-14 Tomcat. So I think we do
I'm
Jungle
totally good with
Cruise
that, yeah.
only because there's probably we know The Rock, we know his films, we know kind of what we're dealing with here, and it's gonna fall in line with that, and I think it'll be really fun. So let's take a look at let's watch through the trailer for Jungle Cruise right now, and then let's see if we can get this one figured out. And then if there's time at the end, I say we do Top Gun Maverick.
Cool.
Sounds good.
I'll see what
right.
sort of notes I write down for this.
Okay.
Oh,
so
I can't wait.
Top Gun Maverick.
And we also we can build this. We've seen what Disney does with their ride-based things, So
This already looks terrible.
Do you think Rock was able to buy those clothes off the rack?
No, definitely.
he's
Big and tall
like,
store.
wow, everything in this store fits my shoulders and my waist.
Do you have anything
All
that
right.
would like fit a gorilla well?
Okay, so now we have jungle pirates as opposed to the skeleton pirates from.
Well, are these colonizers? Is this some type of imperial force that we're looking at here?
I mean, I feel like this is when it was just called exploring. It was clearly colonization. But
yes,
back then they called it.
That is a very
Semantics, yeah.
ethnocentric white perspective, James.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, but I'm saying that's what
Exploring.
they called it. That's what they called it.
Yeah.
They were like, no, we're just going down river, claiming ownership over everything we see, but we're just checking it out.
Oh, so you think there might be a Heart of Darkness element here to the Jungle
He's going to
Cruise?
end with Kurtz. The horrors. The horrors.
Yeah, The Rock is going in search of Kurtz.
How many real animals do we think there will be? Do we think I'm putting the over
Zero.
under 4.5?
0.
I mean, The Rock is the only one.
Yeah, you might see a bird somewhere back there, but the rest of it's going to be CG fare.
Oh, it's
the
Meth
kid
Damon. Yeah, Meth Damon.
Yeah.
Jesse
Meth
Plimpkin or whatever
Damon?
his name is.
Lincoln.
Yeah.
The kid from Breaking Bad, right?
Yeah, what's his name? Todd something?
Oh, wait, was
Todd,
that some type of monster?
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
pirates in this.
that's what I was saying. There's jungle pirates.
No.
It's Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh,
with the Jungle
like-
Cruise.
like you're
They're
saying,
very
like
close
the-
to each other in
Gotcha.
Okay, we got good comedy.
I mean,
That's
here's the
good. I
thing,
love that
like,
sequence.
It's funny, well, I'll watch this. I'll watch
It's
it.
also funny because if you recall the scene in Skyscraper when he grabs onto the edge of something with his fake leg.
So we're already getting a
And-
reference
and so-
there already.
So he's already referencing his own
Wow.
stuff.
Self-referential. That's it. It all comes
Man.
back around with The Rock,
Has The Rock made so many movies that he could now just reference his own movies
Yeah.
and
think he
those,
can.
and we'll
I
all
think he
get
can.
those? Wow,
It appears
that's
to
impressive.
be, yeah, it appears so. So like what I didn't gather from the trailer is what is happening in the
Okay, so I have the captions up.
Okay.
So I'm gonna read you the captions of basically what is the Macguffin narration.
Okay.
So he asks her, "So what are you doing out here?" And she says, "There is a legend.
Oh
Her name
god,
is Lily.
I'm
In the
Always a
jungles of the
legend.
Amazon, of a tree that heals all.
Tree of Life.
It could change the world, but if it gets into the wrong hands,
Right.
and then it shows the snake guy, it could awaken a great evil, and it shows Snake Pirate. And then he stops playing, and she says, "I believe the legend is real." And then he doesn't believe it's real. And then she says, "When I do, just imagine the lives that could be saved." And then it goes, "Disney presents."
that's the Tree of Life right there.
Oh wow.
And then he admits later on that he's been looking for it longer than anybody. So he's entrenched in this world. She's a newcomer, and so he's like, "Sure, I'll take you in." But it feels like he's pessimistic at this
yeah,
point.
what's
Simple
his
woman.
backstory? Do we feel like he is an ex something who has just been like
ex-CIA, yeah.
estranged from the world, and now he's just running this riverboat, and he's been looking for the
Yeah.
Tree of Life by himself? But he's a lone soldier,
Well,
right? Lone wolf.
I don't even think he's going for the Tree of Life. She's going to be the entry point. We're probably going to see her. What first scene's going to be in London? No, first scene.
Oh yeah. There's gonna be a lot.
First scene is in the jungle.
Ah, damn it.
Some guy almost. It's like Congo.
Yeah.
some guy almost gets to the somewhere and finds a clue that would indicate that there's some sort of possibility. Maybe he's writing a letter to Lily. If you receive this letter, I found something that I think is very important.
Has to be
and
your
he
father,
sends it off just as the jungle pirates show up and go.
The pigeon
like,
flies
"You're not
away.
going anywhere." Boom, and then
Pigeon?
he dies.
Do we feel like that's
Pigeon.
right? I think we need to Laura Croft this, right? Where
Okay.
it's her father was looking for the tree of life or whatever.
John Voight.
left her all these clues. Also played by John Voight, still
Yeah.
doing his Anaconda.
Still,
Yeah.
doing
voice.
the Paraguay. Yeah.
and you kind of get a little.
Let me work it.
Give me a thing.
I don't know. It could be dangerous. There it is.
So I feel like the father left her the clues, and he was like, "You got to go do this." And we start in London. She takes off the Mary Poppins outfit, and she goes, "Let's go. We're gonna go into the thing."
And I'm
We
already
find
loving
the
this
river-
real quick because it's early morning, Nick. It's early morning in London. A lot of steam everywhere, right? Like there's just
Oh,
like
of course,
yeah,
it's
you
the
could-
era of it.
you can't
do the
see
match
4 feet
cut.
in front of you,
Yeah.
right? Just steam.
Steam
everywhere.
equals
They do the match cut
industry,
between, like,
civilization. We're taking you far from that. The
Yeah.
recesses of the jungles.
Here's what I'll say. We do like the match cut, right? Where like whoever was looking for the thing, there's a fire and explosion, and as the smoke rises,
Yep.
and the camera comes back down, and that's
Chimney.
the smoke from a chimney in London.
So
Love
cool.
it.
Right, and she wakes up and she starts singing to the birds or whatever Mary Poppins does.
Yeah.
And then
I
they're
picture
like,
her
"Your
in a
father-"
bar like Gaston, like that sort of thing.
And then Andy, at one point, she doesn't want to do the mission, but then somebody pulls her aside
One
at a
more
bar
time.
after a fight, and he goes, "Your father was the captain of a starship for approximately 5 minutes." And
Hold
in
on,
that
I
time,
think you
he
guys are
saved-
getting distracted. You guys are confusing this with the Star Trek read.
No, keep
I
going.
apologize.
Keep going.
I'm
Keep
sorry.
going. Yeah.
Something
I dare you to
important.
do better.
Yeah,
keep
that's
in
what I wanted
mind.
to hear right there. I love that quote. It's such a good
So
quote.
good.
The dynamic of this movie is going to be dictated by the dynamic between Emily Blunt's character and The Rock's character. I don't think she's going to be your damsel in distress. Disney knows
They
it's
don't do that anymore,
2021.
yeah.
You can't do that anymore. The Rock might underestimate her, but she's going to, prove him wrong.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, we've seen that moment with The Rock and the boot, right? Which is obviously they're going to have some good chemistry. And by the way, I read a report earlier today that Ryan Reynolds actually auditioned to play the boot.
Oh,
but
wow.
it just didn't work. It didn't work out.
Wow,
that well.
he's in everything. Can I throw something
Everything's
out
in
here?
him.
She's not going to be able to afford to do a trip like this all on her own. She's going to have to enlist some sort of bureaucratic assistance with what she perceives to be a very selfless mission. And so that's where
He gets appointed.
Meth
He gets
Damon,
assigned.
Meth Damon comes in.
Yeah.
And
Which
then
one
Meth
of-
Damon says, yes, he's very much on her side. We need to think of the people we could save, all this stuff, right? So then he goes, there is someone. And now we're in the jungles, right? And then she I'm going to say
He
maybe
pulls
their
up in a
first
Dodge
interaction.
Charger, right?
So Rock,
That's not cheating,
we're
right? That's
100% that Rock is the Jungle Cruise captain.
Yeah.
Yes, he's
But
leading the
she-
jungle.
okay.
He is the John Rambo in Rambo, the movie where he's just a riverboat captain and he has to ferry some doctors and then they get into the shit and then he has to solve all their problems with a 50 cal.
Andy Cortez.
So he's her guide to these unknown parts.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking, Lisa. I'm thinking right now The Rock is sort of the role of Ian Malcolm when he goes back to Isla Sorna, right? And he's like, and then there's running and screaming. And he's kind of like, he's very jaded. He knows what's going to happen. He knows what they're doing. They're embarking on a dangerous thing. But these newbies out here and John Voight have no idea the dangers they're about to get into.
Yeah, The Rock is a Gollum taking Sam and Frodo. He says, "I know the way.
Yeah.
I can show you." Does The Rock have some kind of ulterior motive or self-interest here beyond that?
I'm going to throw something. Can I just real quick, because we're getting, in terms of keeping the scene structured, I think first interaction between the two of them, Emily Blunt goes, "I'm looking for Frank so-and-so." And he goes, "You don't want to mess around with that guy." It's going to be a fun, playful thing where she says something that embarrasses herself by like, "Oh, I hear he's a bully" or whatever. And then after that whole interaction, he goes, "By the way, that's me." And it's like, wow, like really
you think
gotcha.
it's gonna be like a Bruce Wayne '89 Batman where he's like,
Exactly.
it's Japanese,
Yes.
and she goes, "How do you know that? I bought it in Japan." "Hi, Bruce Wayne," and she goes, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm Bruce
Yeah,
Wayne."
it's
moment.
gonna be some sort of swap thing there. But here's the thing: The Rock is the Jungle Cruise captain. He knows this jungle like the back of his hand, And he knows that what they're looking for isn't out there because he's tried to look for it. Now, why would he try to look for it? Because he cares. And the fact that he hasn't found it has made his heart so cold. And he's so, yes, Nick Scarpino.
Do you think he's trying to find the fountain of youth so he can stay younger than Mark Wahlberg?
Maybe that's what Dwayne is doing. But I think Frank, the character, he wanted it. He probably has a dark past. You know what? He was probably searching for it to save a loved one, but wasn't able to find it in time. And that's what's led him to believe to be so frustrated by the prospect of this search.
And so these people bring it up, and he's like, "You're out of your minds. You know, this thing doesn't exist. You kidding me? I've been looking at this thing for decades."
He's like, "Yeah, you're not going to find it." He's like, "You're not going to find it. There's no point in looking." Thwomp, Jesse Plemons, who is there as like the ambassador or whatever, opens a chest full of money, and he's like, all right, I'll do it. Like, yeah, like some sort of thing like that.
Do we feel like Jesse Plemons' character is going to be a good guy who's stupid, or is he going to be a quasi good guy, but in real life he's a bad guy?
He's a bad guy for sure. He's definitely going to turn in the third act.
The vibe of here is like, have you guys ever seen Last of the Mohicans?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So there's a great moment in that where like, so it's about Daniel Day-Lewis and like the daughters of the general that he's trying to take across the land, and then there's also a colonial like lieutenant there with him, and that guy just really means
Curly?
Well, but he just gets destroyed at the end.
Yeah, he gets burnt up.
Yeah. Oh really?
Is Jesse Plemons not also like just looking for the Tree of Life himself, like not related to them?
Who?
Well, Jesse Plemons.
Jesse Plemons wants to use it for bad. He knows he knows it's going to be used for a bad thing, so he's like, "Oh, sure, I'll come along for this," even though he knows I've been thinking about this for a long time.
I'm gonna put this in a what I believe to be pretty good comparative terms. You know how Fozzie Bear finances the Treasure Island trip in Muppet Treasure Island?
Of course, who could forget?
He finances that. That's the role that Jesse Plemons is going to.
But is he financing theirs, or is he just not a competing expedition?
I don't know.
You think he's twistering it? You think he's Carrie Elways from Twister?
He's Carrie Elways?
Yeah.
That could be a way.
That's what I was thinking.
Think that what you want to do, because you have these deep, dark, scary things in the jungle, snake monsters or whatever. And I think what you want to do is you want to set it up like they are ruthless, unscrupulous, just pure evil bad guys. But going with the awareness of colonialism type thing, the bad guy you want to have is the person who's coming from a place that is not theirs and thinks that they have ownership over this thing. So I think there's going to be a switch in the third act where those snake men, it's obvious that they're protecting.
They're defenders of the jungle,
protecting the Tree of Life.
I like that.
It's nature versus industry.
The power stays there, and it feeds the energy of the jungle. And if you remove it, you can heal human beings all over the planet, but the jungle will die, and then you lose that power.
It's a commentary on colonialism. You invade what's not yours to invade, and it's gonna bite you back.
And also, they definitely should have let you write the third Iron Man movie.
Yeah, they should have let you. Yeah, just a non sequitur. Yeah, we didn't talk about that at all. What I will say though is that like obviously this is The Rock, and this is probably. You got to assume he's been working towards this his whole life, and he's known these stories about the jungle. And at this point in time, life expectancy, he's going to die in about 2 years, right? Like that's about the time that people die in this day and age, right? You don't live forever; you die at like 50. And so The Rock doesn't have a whole lot of time left, and I think it's sort of his like one last mission, one last ride.
I love this. I love the idea that the pirates, the pirates of the Jungle Cruise Caribbean, are like start off as the antagonists, but then become allies at the end because everyone realizes that finding this tree is a terrible idea.
I love it too. I gotta say though, I'm clipping through this trailer, and there is pretty clearly a shot of Jesse Plemons commanding a submarine.
That's what I'm saying.
Screaming to fire a torpedo.
That's what I'm saying.
The Rock.
I think he's a competing expedition.
Unless that's a clip from the third act.
Which it probably is.
I think
like second act bullshit.
But Elise might be right.
I think it's a race.
They're subverting our expectations, right? Disney knows what they're doing. They're including shots that are not going to be in the movie at all.
I'm sorry, Andy. Do you think the entire thing is just going to be a chase between the submarine and the riverboat for 2.5 hours?
He's doing the Last Jedi joke. He's doing the Last Jedi.
I think that it's the power of that Jesse Plemons has this entire command at his disposal. He's got all this industry, this power, but then The Rock and Emily Blunt, it's like just the two of them. You know, it's going to be a race, and it's going to be them using just their ingenuity against their firepower.
For sure. I
also,
think Lisa's right? You have, for sure. I mean, it's Tomb Raider, right? You have to have the Daniel Craig competing expedition or the Gerard Butler.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You got to have those. If not, then what's the point? You're just watching two good-looking people ride a boat together down a river.
Question here, though, is we know that Jesse Plemons, The Rock, Emily Blunt, what other star power is going to come to this movie? We know Disney, they're going to bring the star power. Who else is in this? What characters are they doing that we just haven't been exposed to yet?
Tossing it out here, Kevin Hart cameo.
Yes.
They do kind of like a Maverick style, like...
Does he voice an animal?
Do I recognize you? Do I recognize you? Do I recognize you? And they move on their way, kind of like,
Oh, gotcha.
What if
I was going to
got-
say he's the Jaguar. I was going to say he's the Jaguar at least.
Oh,
okay.
he's going to voice the Jaguar.
Yeah.
Well, it could be Jack Blackwar. Jack Blackwar.
That's really good. That's really good.
Rolls off
I'll
the
throw this
tongue.
out there. Midway through, they stop at a bar, right? They go in, they go barkeep, kind of get a little bit of money. And who turns around Andy? Jason Statham. And he says, Andy, what does he say?
Dwayne The Rock Johnson, you don't know me, but you're about to.
Wow. I thought you were gonna do the other accent.
It was close. I didn't know what he was going to go with, but I do respect the fact that in this world, one of the characters refers to another character as his real name, Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah, well, because that's the thing. Like, we get to the end of the movie, and it's like, who was he the whole time? Was it like?
Yeah.
Is it?
He takes off his hat, his captain's hat, and he goes, "It was me, Dwayne The Rock Johnson."
Yeah.
And everyone goes, "Whoa!"
Great.
Yeah.
Here's the real question I have for you guys. At what point in the film, and I think this is very, very important because you have to know when they beat these movies out that somebody knows the exact second this is going to happen. When does The Rock's shirt get shredded so that we can see his amazing muscles?
About
and
6
physique?
minutes in, 6 to 10 minutes in.
I mean, it's clinging to, even when he's wearing a shirt,
Wet.
it's clinging to
Getting
his
wet.
body. Every muscle,
It's holding on for
fiber
dear
is
life. It's
clear.
So tight.
He's even got what is, I would argue, the most masculine look, which is turn of the century suspenders, like how muscle gangsters used to basically dress. You know,
What do you think
like
his
a chimney
diet?
sweep.
What do you think his
Yeah.
diet plan is like in that year? What's he eating?
Snakes mostly, eating
Yeah,
snakes.
snakes and
Raw
and,
snake meat.
Sucking down some
Insects.
venom.
I think his
Jungle
diet
insects.
plan and his workout plan are one and the same. Find a giant anaconda, wrestle it to the ground, eat it whole.
Gotcha. I love that. What 90s
brings the
references
submarine?
will this movie do? What old callback reference will this thing do? A
mean,
la
like 1890s?
Ghostbuster marshmallow thing.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
I think maybe there's a sequence where after Jesse Plemons has gone full bad, the tree hits him with a blast of energy from the tree of life, and he grows massive, and he's stomping around the Amazon like the Stay Puft Marshmallow.
Really? Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go with that for the rest of the movie
was-
we're doing today.
It's
So what's
unique.
the
It's unique.
what's the resolution with the Tree of Life? Do they find it? They decide no, we don't want to.
I think it burns down, and then the last shot of the movie, you see like it springs up somewhere else or something like that.
Oh,
So
a
it's
little
lost
bud,
forever.
like a
A
little.
little bud.
little
comes
bud.
up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I thought we were going to do a Holy Grail type scenario.
Oh, where the United States military just puts it in
where
our
we
house.
understand that yes, it has this restorative power, but not in the way that we thought, and it doesn't matter because you can't even get it out. Like you can't get it out of the Amazon.
That's the question, right? Is what made these ghost pirate thingies? Did they eat it, and that's what it does to you? Like it lets you live forever, but you're a
maybe.
zombie. You
That's
know,
good too.
that's probably
It's like
what's gonna
Bloodborne.
happen.
You drink the blood. You
Oh,
become-
they tried to get to the tree. I think that the
Yeah,
tree
they-
will know that The Rock and Emily Blunt are pure of heart, that their intentions are good.
Probably.
Yeah. And we're also going to have to, of course, reveal that what happened to the Rock's daughter or whatever that made him such a
Yeah,
cynical.
maybe.
She got
maybe
stepped on by the giant Stay Puft Marshmallow.
Emily gets
happens
injured.
every
The Rock carries her to the tree. He can only get one wish, and instead of bringing back his daughter, it's to prevent Emily from dying.
She wakes up as a Navi.
Yes.
Yes.
and then has a job for the rest of her life because he'll
Wow.
be filming those films for the rest of
She'll
her
be
life.
working for
there's-
33 decades.
44 more years.
I feel like there's no way that we're not right about at least 75% of
Yeah.
everything we just
I want-
discussed.
I need whoever your like super audience member is. You know, everyone always has the one. I need you to write that into a outline. What we just said, put it in chronological order, and we will revisit this after
Yeah.
the Jungle Cruise comes out and see
Yeah,
how much
yeah.
we got right.
Re-edit the trailer and include some storyboards to fit our
Yeah.
synopsis.
And
Don't-
can you pull some Andy quotes and recut it into the trailer at the appropriate time? So,
Please do.
I don't know. It could be
And make
dangerous.
sure you nail the beat where Jesse Plemons becomes the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man
Yeah,
and
yeah.
kills the
That's
Rock's
gonna be-
daughter. Is
It's
that
going to
what
be
happened?
great, and it's good. Honestly, you see that in the theaters, it's going to look great. It doesn't even matter if you catch COVID. Like you're
Yeah.
going to be like, that was worth my time.
All right, just
And
to,
you
go
can
over,
store-
just to go over my notes. Jungle Cruise, Tree of Life, Rock, Voight, Snake Men, Good Guys? I didn't have a question mark, but I'm adding the question mark right now.
That's good. Yeah,
That's a great prediction.
That's what I appreciate about you. You never really hold to your guns, Andy. You're always like someone that listens to feedback, and that's what I appreciate.
Just in
about
case,
you.
you never know.
Yeah.
Well, we have time to do. I think we have time to do one more.
Excellent.
We're going to do Top Gun
Stuff
Maverick, and
froze.
we're going to do it right after this break. Rock es un bestia. And just in case you don't speak Spanish, that means Rock is a beast. And I just learned it from Babbel, the #1 selling language learning app. One of my goals for the new year was to learn a new language. It's actually been one of my goals for a really long time. And luckily, Babbel has made the whole process addictively fun and easy with bite-sized lessons that you'll actually use in the real world. So you're actually going to learn some phrasing. It's not just a whole vocabulary list. It's not just flashcards and memorization. It's learning how to piece the language together. Babbel's 15-minute lessons make it the perfect way to learn a new language on the go. I have a perro, and I often take him to go for a walk, caminar, and so I like to be multitasking when I do that, and I always do my Spanish lessons while I'm walking my dog. It's really fun. It's really easy. Get some exercise and learn a little bit. Babbel designs their courses with practical, real-world conversations in mind, things you'll get to use in every single day life. It's not like sitting in a classroom and having a teacher drill at you words and repetition over and over and over again. Other language learning apps use AI for their lesson plans, but Babbel lessons were created by over 100 language experts. Their teaching method has been scientifically proven to be effective. With Babbel, you can choose from 14 different languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, German. Plus, Babbel's speech recognition technology helps you improve your pronunciation and accent. Start your new language learning journey today with Babbel. Right now, when you purchase 3 months Babbel subscription, you'll get an additional 3 months free. That's 6 months for the price of 3. Just go to Babbel.com and use code FILMHOUSE. That's BABBEL.com, code FILMHOUSE for an extra 3 months free. Babbel, language for life. All right, we are back. We have just a little bit more time. Well, we got some time. We got plenty of time. But
We got
we definitely, at the very least, have time. We've already done Minions: The Rise of Gru, nailed it. Jungle Cruise, nailed it again. And so
Even
let's
better.
jump into Top Gun. I just realized Emily Blunt's in 2 of these movies, man. Top Gun: Maverick. This one I think might be harder than the other 2, so I'm glad we have the practice because most of this trailer is just shots of a plane flying around.
Yeah. I mean,
so-
that's a lot more freedom for us,
Yeah.
kind of filling the gaps.
All right, so it's snowy. So they must be fighting over Alaska, right?
And
the
these
closest point to
mountains.
Russia.
the most
To
contested
Alaska.
North Korea's
part of the world.
sending some stuff.
Alaska. I mean, look at that shot.
It looks
Shut
great.
up, Andy. It's so good.
I know from some of the other trailers that a lot of this has to do with, Maverick refusing to like step up to the plate. Like, why has he always remained in this when he could have done more? Or
Why is
something
he?
like that?
Why is he still a private or whatever?
Yeah. He's a young man. Okay.
That guy, like
Very
that
well
guy.
mean the difference between life
Oh, Miles Teller.
and death.
Mustache teller, old stash teller.
Yeah, he looks so
Mustache
old with that mustache.
I know. Oh, I love that maneuver.
you-
Andy, have you seen Top Gun?
No, I have not.
Just call me. I'll watch it.
Everybody make the whole
right, so-
sound.
I have to admit, I wasn't expecting an invitation back. Okay. He goes, they're called orders, Maverick. And he goes, ha ha.
Can you just imagine the IMAX shots in this?
God, I just don't even tell me because this is the one movie that I'm like, I have to see this on the big screen. You can't not see this.
The silver screen for Nick right there. You got to get in there.
Dude, I saw Top Gun in theaters and I was like, this is the great. I'm like, I remember walking out of that at like 5 years old and being like, this is the greatest movie ever made. They're never going to make a movie better than this.
Never did.
And they never did.
Okay, so he's doing
Dangerous.
some dogfight training with them, and he's really good. And they're all like, whoa, he's really good.
How you so good, old man? That's what
But
they're
it
all
does- it
thinking.
does-
Like,
It looks like he is training like the next
Class.
phase. Yeah, the next class.
There is a trailer that references drone warfare though. So I don't know what's going. Obviously, this is the greatest thing ever. They recreated
Volleyball.
the
We got
scene.
some volleyball scenes.
And shout out to Jennifer Connelly who plays the love interest in this.
didn't ask Kelly McGillis back.
No, they did not. Unfortunately.
I'll
So
say,
here's yeah.
let's go. I'll say this: I'm annoyed with drone warfare being the future. Like, can anything in the future always has to have these drones, and there's always drone attacks, and every video game's doing it. I'm sick of it. Why can't we do? Again, like we talked about the carrier pigeon from Jungle Cruise. Why can't it be sort of really, really well trained hawks or eagles or something like that?
The
Right?
What's more
Lasers.
terrifying than nature?
The drone's so impersonal.
Here's the problem with the drones, right? Is they're not sexy. Can the drones play volleyball on the beach greased up with their shirts off?
Hawks can.
I don't think so. Hawks can.
Oh man, yeah. You ever see like a cartoon drawing of a muscular hawk?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I used to draw them all the time.
Because like birds already have like the chest.
Yeah.
For it. Anyway.
This
okay,
is so tough. It's so tough because this whole movie is reliant on Tom Cruise's motivation, his backstory, where he's been this entire time, why he's back, why he hasn't actually progressed in rank over the
what
last
better-
40 years.
I was gonna say,
was
what
just-
better person to talk
great.
about it than me, who hasn't seen the first one?
Absolutely.
That's good. Okay,
Andy,
great.
what do you think happens in the first Top Gun? What do you think it's about?
I got to assume it's Tom Cruise just learning his way around the world, and he's in a crew with a bunch of other people. Maybe they knew each other from middle school. Now they're in, it's sort of like in, it's like in how Cobra Kai and Karate Kid, everything revolves around karate, but in this world, everything revolves around jet fighting. And Tom Cruise makes his way up the ranks. It makes a couple friends along the way, a couple of enemies as well, right? And then some of the enemies don't believe in him. Big boss fight, right? And I'm thinking like a Snape-like figure, right? We get a sort of Snape-like figure there, who is the bad guy. Who's the bad guy in Top Gun?
There actually is
Russian
the
MiGs?
Russians. Yeah, Russian MiG-21.
Oh, there's not like a bad. Oh, okay,
MiG-19.
damn it.
But there's also, there are the
accurate?
inner politics and
There's-
dynamics
yeah.
within the fighters themselves.
Right.
Iceman.
Andy-
Iceman is arguably the closest thing to an antagonist, I guess, in that movie.
Well,
So
and
Andy,
also, I was just going to say, there's a major death in the first movie. Goose, Maverick's co-pilot.
Don't spoil it for Andy. I was going to make him watch it before this. So
He'll
Andy-
forget. Sorry, Andy. He'll forget. If he hasn't seen
Yeah,
it, it's been
forget.
20, 30 years.
Andy, forget that. She just said that. His heartbreaking moment in the first
already
movie.
forgot.
Andy, the first movie is actually about a school where Tom Cruise's character plays the second best naval pilot in the United States Navy. And the first best, unfortunately, has a bit of a breakdown. And so he and his co-pilot Goose get sent to Top Gun, which is the elite of the elite, like training grounds for
It's Harry
fighter
Potter with
pilots.
jets. Harry Potter with
Say-
jets.
well,
It's
I would
Harry
say-
Potter with jets.
just
a
say
little,
it.
a little
100%.
a little character establishment too. It appears to almost everyone except for Maverick. I almost called him Top Gun. Except for Maverick, that the only reason he isn't the best is because he can only play by his own rules.
Correct.
He doesn't work well with others. He's not a good teammate.
Doesn't
and
like
he
authority.
only looks out for himself.
So
Buzzes
that is
the
whole-
tower.
yeah. And now, obviously, the person that helps him realize that is Tom Skerritt, who you'll know from Poltergeist 2, 3. Poltergeist 3.
And who
not
at least
Poltergeist
follows
3.
on Twitter pretty
Who-
well.
Of course he
Instagram, I
does.
think.
Oh, Instagram, sorry.
And that's where I think Tom Cruise is going to step into. So I think his character is going to be forced out of being a pilot because he loves being a pilot, and he's going to be forced into that instructor role at Top Gun. Andy from Kind of Funny.
Tom Skerritt, is he Instagram verified on Instagram?
I don't believe he is.
Damn,
But I was able to
neither
personally
am I.
verify context clues for his account that is in fact Tom Skerritt.
No respect. No respect.
Can I just, Nick? Can I just throw something out here? I'm just thinking logical narrative progressions. We go back to that hero's journey. If Top Gun, the first Top Gun, is all about Maverick learning how to be a student, learning how to take advice from others,
I know where
that
this
must
is
mean
going.
the sequel is all about him learning how to be a teacher
Correct. I 100%
and share
agree.
that knowledge. So that's why he has never progressed, is because he's never taken that step in academics. He's just been flying missions or whatever it is. He doesn't want to step into the authority role until he gets that call, which we saw mentioned in the trailer, where he got the call to, thanks for having me back, and he goes, you were ordered to come back,
Yeah,
because
they're called
now he
orders.
needs to be an instructor. Top Gun. Andy Cortez.
Miles Teller searches around the world for Tom Cruise, just looking all over the place. Finally walks up to him, says, "Here you go. Here's your jet." Brings back his old jet, and he looks at the jet and he tosses it into the
Tosses it
water.
over his shoulder.
Yeah, and he's like,
And the whole movie is just about a slow race between a MiG and an F-14, and they just on each other's tail the entire time. That's the whole movie.
That raises a great question, Andy. Is there going to be some type of role reversal here where now Tom Cruise is in the authority figure teacher role and one of these young bucks is now kind of where Maverick was in Top Gun? Like, is it Miles Teller? Is it the guy that played
Well,
Neil Armstrong?
Interestingly enough, and I think we know this, right? Miles Teller plays Goose's son, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
So I think
Goose is
that
the guy
becomes
from VR, right?
ER is Goose. Anthony Edwards, yeah.
I said VR.
Yeah, you did. It's okay. ER. I didn't know if I misunderstood you through the interwebs, but so I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I read that Miles Teller is Goose's son. So that adds that layer of dynamics to it. Of you're now responsible for the kid whose father died because of you, not because of you, but with you.
On your
we
watch,
think-
yeah.
Wait, he murdered Goose?
No, they were doing. So what happens? It's the most heartbreaking scene, Andy. You're gonna cry. I'm gonna tell you about it, and you're gonna start crying.
I
right now.
forgot
Just
he died
tissue.
already.
There's a tailspin. There's a tailspin, and like
He goes into a flat spin.
The song, the cartoon show would lead you to believe it's a joyous event.
fun.
it is in fact not. It's terrifying.
Terrifying.
But
What's the theme song on that?
I want to say.
Tailspin. Ooh, bum, bum,
Nick, I'm not kidding you. I had this.
you both did dark test.
It's funny because as you were saying it, as you were talking about Tailspin in my head, I was going, Chippendale.
Dale.
Come on, guys. No.
I've never heard that.
Tailspin it. That's how tailspin goes.
Shit.
Do we think that maybe Miles Teller comes in, Goose's son, he's heard so much about Maverick, he knows his legacy, right? And maybe it's a role reversal where Miles Teller is very by the book, and Maverick has to show him how improvisation, kind of like coming out of
save
your
your
shell,
life.
is something you need. You're not going to learn everything you need from a book, kind of thing. But how do you do that without putting him at risk? Also want to point this out, in the trailer, there is a shot of a funeral.
It's Iceman's
So,
funeral.
it's
Val
a
Kilmer's.
We
know-
look. We got
Val
a funeral
Kilmer's
shot
back.
here.
We know that. Val Kilmer
I
has
was
a
gonna-
cameo in this.
I was going to say it's a late funeral for Goose.
Oh, they
It
never
could be a
had one.
flashback. It could be a flashback.
Oh,
where
it
we
could be
see-
Tom Skerritt too.
Oh, it could be Tom Skerritt. Yeah.
I don't think
thinking-
it's a flashback because Tom Cruise is old. There's a shot of Tom
there's a shot of
Cruise
him there and he's
older
old, yeah.
saluting.
They took away Tom Skerritt's Instagram verification, so they had a
I'm just gonna
big...
tell you guys right now.
man.
I'm just
you
gonna
know-
tell you how excited
I
I
mean-
am for Tom Cruise and Jennifer Connelly to just be on screen together.
There's
on,
also
son.
a possibility it's a heartbreaking scene where one of these young pilots died, and Tom Cruise is reliving the experience of Goose's death, and that
happened
that
again.
shakes him, guys.
Yeah, it
That
happened
shakes
again.
him up.
Tom Cruise at this point, I think, at least has come back already. Then this death happens, and then he questions again, why did I come back? People are going to keep on dying, and they're going to be dying on my watch. Why am I really doing this? Because I want to make as many action movies as I can before I retire.
Because
True.
I want to be the best of the best. And guess what, Tom Cruise, you are. Because
Do
whenever
you-
you
And
make
then-
another Mission Impossible, we're in.
And so he goes never again. He walks away from the Top Gun Academy. The Russians attack. They scramble the fighters, but they're these young students who aren't ready to handle it. Okay, they scramble the fighters, and then Tom Cruise is like, I need to get up there and save them. Into his garage, pulls off an old rag that's covering up his old F-14 Tomcat.
With Maverick on it.
And
it's like the garage is
shoots
clearly
out.
too small to house this when he walks in. It's an aircraft hangar.
Yeah, and he pulls it out, and you go a Michael Bay sweeping shot. And he touches it. He remembers.
Do you think?
He does that with the motorcycle, right? He has that moment in the trailer where he takes out the old, I think it's a Kawasaki Ninja, and just pulls off the thing. And is like, let's take it for a ride, at least from Funhaus.
Dark Knight of the Soul, is there going to be a point where Tom Cruise has a heart-to-heart with Tom Skerritt or Val Kilmer, and that's what's going to bring him back into the fold?
Guarantee it.
Oh yeah,
Like Tom Skerritt's retired or Val Kilmer's been retired.
What
You know?
now? Okay, in the first one, what was sort of their character dynamics, right?
The
I think
Iceman?
Tom Skerritt. So Tom Skerritt, and so here, okay, he plays. Tom Cruise plays Pete Mitchell, right? His dad died as an aerial pilot, I believe, in Vietnam. Tom Skerritt flew with his dad. And so Tom Skerritt is sort of like a de facto father figure for him.
You didn't know my dad? Oh, I knew him.
Well, there's another factor too, which is his dad received a reputation for putting all of the other pilots at risk, right? That's why he crashed in Vietnam. Something happened, and he received a reputation for having recklessly endangered the lives of his other pilots. Except, Nick, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Continue. You're doing a great job.
Except you don't find out until towards the end of the movie that Tom Skerritt, who was there, actually saw that what his father did, while against regulation, saved the lives of basically everyone.
Yeah, he gave the order for the code red.
And he literally sits him down and goes, "Your father was the captain of a starship for 5 minutes. In that time, he saved 1,000 people. I dare you to do better."
I dare you to do that.
Colonel Jessup gave the code
to
red.
answer your other question, Andy, Val Kilmer plays the antagonist in this. But if you are actually following logic and you're a decent, good person, you're kind of on Val Kilmer's side the entire time. Because there's a wonderful moment where Val Kilmer says, "You're dangerous.
Yeah.
You what you do creates danger for everyone. You're not a part of this team. You need to be team naval pilot or bust." And also, by the way, Val Kilmer is the better pilot. He's just he just can't not play by the rules.
Got it.
But Andy, his name is Iceman, and I always thought that was the coolest freaking name ever.
It is.
Great
and he
call
also
sign.
had the best haircut which you could ever have for the time, which is completely bleached blonde, just shooting up. He basically looked like Sting.
Yes.
And so like Surfer Sting.
It's a crew cut with
he
edge.
was pretty cool.
It was so cool. And Andy, they all had different colors. So like Maverick's color was blue, or no, Iceman's color was blue, and then Maverick had like red underneath his.
badass.
And I was like, it's so
Yeah.
dope.
And
You gotta
at one
watch this
point,
movie.
like
Iceman
Gundams.
bites at him. He goes,
He does actually ice.
But there's a mutual
And
respect earned, and I think that respect might come back into this film.
I definitely
we're
think
definitely
so.
gonna see it.
Because at this point,
maybe Iceman is who pep talks him. Who better to tell Maverick what
himself.
potential he has than the man who says, "You can be my wingman anytime.
You can be mine.
You could be my wingman, baby.
Yeah."
Enrique Iglesias, that's a cameo. That's someone in this one.
Enrique Iglesias is there.
Man,
Yeah.
baby.
What's the 90s reference?
I think that Val Kilmer eats a peanut, doesn't realize that he's allergic to them, blows up to the size of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and crushes half of a small Alaskan city while he's trying to fight the Russians.
Yeah, he's stomping the Russians. He doesn't realize what's going on, and they have to scramble the fighters. So it's like
they're flying
fighters
around him.
all around his body and stuff, like Spider-Man 3.
That's really cool.
I think much like karate, or much like Cobra Kai, Tom Cruise has been in a dark cave for the last 30 years, and he doesn't know what email is.
Understand what the internet is?
Yes.
He's an analog guy in a digital world. All right, he doesn't.
I love it.
He
Yeah,
doesn't know
Sold me
these.
a broken computer.
He doesn't.
Did you
He
try
doesn't
turning it
fly
on?
with tech. He flies with his heart. Okay. So
Yeah.
the young guys, they're all using these souped up systems. They're very into
Apple Watches.
Tom Cruise. Yeah, they've got it. They've got their jet synced
Drones.
to their Apple Watch.
Very Bad Boys 3, the new crew talking to Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. Like the new crew has all these crazy hologram technology, and or Bad Boys for Life. Sorry, not Bad Boy.
Yeah.
Wait, is it the
Yeah,
same
it's 3.
movie?
Bad Boys 3, Bad Boys 4.
Bad Boys for
They
Life.
should,
Yeah,
they should have really waited for 4 for Bad Boys for
Yeah.
Life, but they
yeah,
jumped
for
the gun.
Life. Yeah.
now it's confusing forever.
as I propose this, I'll say there's an inherent flaw with this logic, which is that would Tom Cruise allow himself to be presented in such a way where he would be this old man that doesn't really
oaf?
know this
know.
old oaf that doesn't.
I do, because I don't think Tom Cruise falls into the same unfortunate rut that The Rock and like Mark Wahlberg do, which is they don't like to be vulnerable on screen. But remember, Tom Cruise is actually a real actor who has been in really good films. At least you referenced one of them earlier, where it's like, you want me on that wall, you need me on that wall.
Need me.
Did you order the code? Did you order the code red? You're damn right, I did. I think he's willing to do whatever it takes to make a good movie. And so I mean, we're seeing him here, even in the first few scenes. He doesn't look happy. In that scene where he's talking to the admiral, who's like, they're called orders, Maverick, it doesn't look like he's in a good place in life.
He's willing to show himself, portray a vulnerable character, as long as by the end of the film he is proven that he is still the coolest one in the whole movie.
Yeah, he's the only one that can undo the nuke.
I just think too much about The Mummy, wherein he has that scene with Russell Crowe where Russell Crowe says, "You're a much younger man than I." Like, he literally says those words to them, and you're like, no, Tom Cruise is older than Russell Crowe in real life. Like, this is bizarre.
We're the same. We went to the same high school, bro.
Yeah.
There's a couple things. We're running out of time. There's a couple things I want to really just make sure we hammer out. We just saw a flash of it. The scene where he's a test pilot doing something, right? Blowing the lid off, or like the roof off of an entire house or something. I think that is the first time we see him back.
That's the beginning,
by the way.
of the movie.
There's a cold open sequence where they're talking about what the needs and wants are. We have a better bunch of recruits and stuff like coming in. And they're like, do you think he's right for it? And he goes, I don't know. And then boom, you cut to this dusk kind of airfield, and this thing is flying around, and then of course we get Tom Cruise doing what Maverick does, which is flying too close, putting people in danger.
Or do you think he's test piloting that and he crashes it, and that's the start of his journey, where they're like, this guy's way too dangerous to be a test pilot, we got to put him somewhere else.
Maybe.
Welcome back to Miramar. Kenny Loggins was cool.
Yes, Elise.
Nick,
From Funhaus.
if you're able to see this in the theater, how poppin' do you think it's going to go off when that tower gets buzzed? And do you think that they're going to wait, and do you think they're going to pay it off, give us that fan service early, or do you think that's going to be something that happens later and we're going to just lose our minds?
Second to last scene, and I'm telling you right now, if that's not loud enough, I will get up out of my seat, go to the projectionist, say roll it back, and turn it up. Because I need this moment.
That's
in my
not how
life
projection
right
works, sir.
I will knock on the door and I will say, spool the film back to that moment and crank up that knob to 11, because me and Elise need this to hit hard as nails.
Now, are they so is this setting up? Is this potentially setting up for a new trilogy? Like, is that
Yes.
like? Is this moment you're talking about like a cool moment where you'd be like, oh, they're making a second one, or is it just a random moment in the movie?
I think,
Andy,
I'm going to throw something out here. I think Andy's onto something, because everything is about franchising. I think Tom Cruise is in the tower while Miles Teller's character buzzes it, passing the torch.
Now, Andy, for context, in the movie, Tom Cruise gets in trouble because he keeps buzzing the tower. So he says, hey, tower, like, I'm going to land here. And they go, negative, Ghost Rider, the pattern is full, which means like you can't land here. You got to pick another landing strip. And he goes, cool. And he runs the jet by the tower so fast that it like shocks everything, and it makes everyone spill their coffee on themselves. And then some guy goes, I want some butts, and I want these butts now. And he pisses people off, but it's cool.
Yeah. So
It's
great. Great sequence.
Do we imagine Tom sprinting next to a jet?
No, Andy, that's not what this is about. No, Andy, God, you're so
he will drive his motorcycle next to a jet.
His motorcycle next to the jet.
Hold on, but Andy's right. He's got to run. I think maybe there's, again, fighter scrambling. Maybe he runs the full length of an aircraft carrier.
He runs to the next.
Oh yeah, because they've gotten the call. Everybody needs to suit up. He's running.
One shot. Boom! He comes out of the door from an aircraft carrier, and he's got to run to his jet. And it's one shot that Tom Cruise runs as fast as he can.
Are we gonna get a Meg Ryan cameo? She was Goose's wife, Andy, in the first one. Widow.
I don't think so. I don't think they're.
I'll say number one. Yeah, absolutely. Mark me down for yes. I'll mark myself down for yes as well.
Put Meg Ryan.
Please,
split on that.
please do.
Just how it sounds, Andy.
We have to wrap this up. I don't know. Any final thoughts on this? I feel like I've seen 3 movies today, which is pretty.
We had a good
great.
day at the movies today. We had a great
We
efficient
did.
day at the movies. Yeah.
I think after this, we could legitimately just out of 5 stars, like we could probably score Top Gun Maverick because I feel like we nailed it.
We can. I think we could score all 3 movies, right? So with Minions, I'm going 3.5 out of 5.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds
Bold.
right. That sounds right.
I'll go with
Yeah.
that. Jungle Cruise, I'm gonna go 4 out of 5. I think it's gonna be a little more entertaining now, having talked about the plot than I thought it was going to be original.
I think it's too much. It's a 3 for me.
Okay, I'm actually going to go 3 for Jungle Cruise as well because I do think it's going to be one of those things where you're watching it and you're like, I just should have enjoyed it more than I did. You know,
Sure.
I had all the
Interesting.
pieces.
That's every rock movie
for whatever reason. And so
I
Top
think
Gun
it's
Maverick.
going to be too much of a
what-
retread. Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, what do we think about Top Gun Maverick?
I think it's gonna be a 5 out of 5
Do
because
about 2 out
Tom
of
Cruise
5.
finds a way to make these movies compelling when they have no right to be.
Yeah. He's
It's
so committed.
4.7
I think,
for me.
I think we're gonna get tears. I think for sure Nick's gonna cry at some point during the
I cried
movie.
during the
I'll
trailer.
cry. I'll cry.
I think Andy's gonna cry.
I'll cry with no emotional attachment to any of the rest. Of the
No,
other
he doesn't know
movies.
what's going on.
I'll get something in my eye. My contact. will have
We
a,
have maybe some popcorn butter in our eye.
yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Here's what I want to do. Mark all this. If we can get someone to write up our plots, and maybe shoot it over to us somewhere. I don't know where. Shoot it over to us when these movies come out.
Yeah.
I would love to have you guys back. And instead of doing a formal review, we do a comparison of our
Great.
theory
I
versus
love that. I love
it.
that.
when it actually was.
And if anybody's like editing these into like a fake trailer or whatever, if you need me to do any re-recordings with John Voight, let me know. You can hit me up.
Yeah,
on email.
Andy is available.
Or if you just want Andy to redub Anaconda for all
I could
of
do that
John
too.
Voight's
The whole
lines, he can
thing.
do that
Yeah.
too.
You do an Owen Wilson?
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Elise, we called you the other day. What did we want her to do on the
Oh,
on the
we
podcast
called you.
too?
We called you to do.
Because Keira Knightley, I was
Keira
so
Knightley.
disappointed.
Keira Knightley, that's what
I
it
was so bummed because I was walking Benson at the time, and then I
We'll
couldn't.
do it later. There it is.
Because I have so
Your whole
much
face
jaw.
transforms into Keira
Okay.
Knightley.
It's so much job.
Okay. All right. We got to wrap this one up. Elise, thank you so much for this. This is a blast. It was a great idea, number one. And I'm glad we finally got to do
It was a blast.
Nick Scarpino, Andy Cortez, where can everyone find more of you guys?
You can find me on Twitter at Nick_Scarpino. Same on Instagram. But if you want to find me and Andy together, we do a lot of shows over on YouTube.com/kindafunny. Or if you like video games, YouTube.com/kindafunnygames. And we've just started a new channel, YouTube.com/kindafunnyplays, where we post all of our long form Twitch streams that we do, in which Andy and I just crush heads in Warzone.
Yeah, always just showing people. I'm at Maximum Cortez on pretty much every platform. Yeah, and that's about it. YouTube.com/kindafunnygames. Kindafunnyplays. Kinda funny.
Awesome. Thank you
This
guys
was a
so much for
treasure.
coming on. We love doing stuff with you guys, and maybe I jump in with Warzone with you guys. I know it's only 3, but let me know.
Well,
I'm
we're
not
doing
opposed to it.
Overwatch one of these Fridays. One of these Fridays
I
we'll
want
be
to do
doing
some Overwatch.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited.
let's do it.
I'm excited.
Thank you guys so much for coming on. Thank you for everyone for watching, and thank you, Cody, for killing it with all the trailers and pulling up those clips. Happy birthday!
Thank you, Nick's
happy
mom.
birthday shout out to Nick Scarpino. Yeah, thank you to Nick's mom.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
For shoving him out, and thank you to everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Pushed me out like Play-Doh.